Bonjour, bonsoir, dear friends. Did you like that movement? You know, it's all about love. It's the month of August, August the 2nd. We have a very exciting guest, all about grapes, deep into organic farming, which is very exciting. In this month, pre-harvest, we want to really feature the phenomenal winemakers who are celebrating many harvests. He's done 38 of them. Pretty extraordinary when you think about it. What a commitment. He believes in an area which is not as obvious. It's called Mendocino. We love it as well, and we source a lot of our grapes for all our wineries. And he is a force in the winemaking world. Very talented, very charming, as you'll see, very passionate about the land, and a man who really knows how to connect the soil to the energy of what is above and to make stellar wines. We're not going to pop a cork. We're going to today, with Randy Meyer himself, twist the bottle. See? Whoop, 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 whoop. And I'm serving Randy a glass of his Pinot Blanc. Randy, good to see you.
Great to see you too, Jean-Charles.
Hey, I'm excited to open a wine with a screw cap.
Yes, and I am a complete screw cap lover.
And you're a lefty.
I'm left and right.
Ooh, another ambidextrous man.
It's amazing how many winemakers are left-handed. I don't know if you've experienced that, but I know quite a few. I don't know if it's our slightly odd brain wiring or what, but
were you born left?
I think I probably was. So, because I write left-handed, obviously I swirl my glass left-handed. Yeah. I eat left-handed. I brush my teeth. Anything like kind of dexterity.
What else do you do sensually that is from your left side? Let's go deep and into the essence of it.
I probably shouldn't do that. My wife might get upset. But yeah,
well, she might
I got skills with my left hand. Let's just say that. And my right hand is, throwing a football,
really,
shooting a basketball, tennis racket.
So you
golf.
Totally ambidextrous.
Yeah, but left. I play ping pong, table tennis, left.
And what about writing?
Left.
So you're a true lefty.
I think I'm a true left. Yeah.
I could notice that. He's creative, but he has a great financial mind as well.
And I think on my golf game, I should have probably converted to left-handed putting because I probably would be a better putter.
Still time.
I think that exactly. I'm not giving up.
Hey, don't postpone what you could do now.
That's right.
You know what is so exciting is we share the same, so to speak, handicap. I was born left, and I know fully left. But, I was born in 1969 in Burgundy. Grandparents, school teachers, no way you could be left-handed. There's no table made for left-handed. The table you would flip, it was all on the right side.
Yes.
So you couldn't actually, so they force you to write on the right. Attach your hand in the back, make it work on the right. That's why I became right-handed. But I do, as you do, ping pong.
They did the same thing to my wife in the Azores where she grew up.
Well, the
nuns would whack her in the hand if she tried to write left-handed.
I thought you were going to say you attach her hands in her back and then we wait and see. That I'm sure too. So she's Portuguese.
She is full-blooded Azorean Portuguese, yes.
Wow. And what's your history?
So I'm complete Heinz 57 American. I'm more German from my dad's side. My mom is that sort of gregarious Irish, and then there's a little Polish and Welsh in there too.
Wow, German and Irish and Polish.
Yeah.
I love it.
So Montana and North Dakota are where my mom and dad are from. So
one of my favorite places in the country. The people are fabulous in the middle of the country. Dear friends, we typically ask Randy to talk about our JCB bubbles, but we made an exception because he brought us 3 wines that are available on his website, which you'll see in the chat, and as well, of course, at the Oakville Wine Merchant. And you're going to have to tell us about this. This is outstanding. I'm going to have another toast here.
Wonderful. Well, the great thing about this wine is there's not a lot of them around. Pinot Blanc is not widely farmed in California. I think there's 320 acres, something around there, maybe a little under 400.
That's it.
And we have some old clone and some new clone Pinot Blanc.
Yeah.
And we basically bottle all we make, which is not very much. And it is just I make it a lot like I would make Sauvignon Blanc.
Yeah, absolutely. So explain us how.
So that is actually hand harvested, at least, at this day and age, that's pretty rare. But up in Mendocino County, we bring in I think it's the H2A, I want to say it, the labor from Mexico. Yeah. They stay with us. We pay them. We feed them. They work with us. They hand harvest. So, that's how we bring that in. And then, it gets, of course, gently pressed and racked and fermented with no oak.
So when you say
nice and cold.
Yeah. So forgive me not to be too technical, but I know all our friends are interested in it. When you say gently press, is it pneumatic press?
Yes.
Is it 2.5 hour cycle or quick cycle?
It's actually it's about a 2 to 2.5 hour cycle. I find that at least for this grape, being a little slow is beneficial.
For sure.
Because I think it's so delicate. Yeah, exactly.
Your wife like it.
Man, slow. Yeah.
Is she watching?
She will be. And you know what? She's going to love you, by the way. So, yeah. But you're going to have to meet her someday.
I look forward to it. But I agree with you. Gently pressed. I mean, our friend in Alsace, we have many friends 3 hours from Burgundy. Mm-hmm. And always we talk about Riesling. We talk about Pinot Blanc. We talk about Gewürztraminer. Slow pressing. We call it the champagne method, right? One bar every 10 minutes. Pneumatic press, you squeeze without breaking the skin, right? And the pits, and you get this. I'm very impressed with this.
It's, this wine, we were so lucky because it just, did really well in the Press Democrat on a blind tasting. And we got some love in the Press Democrat, which was great, our local paper. Yeah. So that's pretty neat. And it's a wine that tends not to get a lot of press. Yeah. So for that to, be a winner, especially, at its low price point. We were getting some butt on some $40 bottles, so that was nice.
Wow, that's great. So, what about no oak?
No oak. I think this grape is kind of this, it's loaded with white peach. Yeah. It's not super intense. It's definitely a light, delicate. If you put oak in this, it struggles. It just seems to wash out.
That's right.
It just gets so kind of neutral. And then, it's a wine that you really need to find the delicate nuances. And if you just put a little wood in it, I think you screw it up.
I totally agree. And dear friends, know that the Pinot family is wide. So Pinot Noir, Pinot Chardonnay, Pinot Blanc, Pinot Gris, in between. So we come from the same family tree. So Pinot Noir is a grape which is red with white juice. Pinot Blanc, obviously, same. So it's very exciting to see it, and you farm it organically.
Yes.
Fully organic. And Dylan, come closer to me. CCOF certified.
CCOF, and the Girasole line is vegan as well.
And vegan.
Yeah.
Wow. It's so important. You see the beautiful bee here, and look at this great label, Girasole with the sunflower. How come a sunflower turns to the sun? Isn't it great how they do that?
I think that's God's power. There's some nature in there that I don't think I'm smart enough to figure out, except that it wants the sun like my wife does.
So the sunflower, as you all know, probably already follows the sun. So they turn on the sunset, and as the sun shines, they turn on that side. So in Burgundy, as an example, it's beautiful because they all look east as the sun goes up in the summer, in July, and all turn on the other side for the sunset, which is behind the hills of the Côte de Nuit. So it's magic.
That's cool.
So you put it as well in screw cap. What's your view of screw cap?
I'm one of those that absolutely is a full-on believer in screw caps. And and also having a little experience tasting Australian wines that are high dollar in screw cap. I'm game. I'm just thinking that, knowing what screw cap does and its chance for success and its chance to keep that wine in a great, state for many, many years. I just, I'm so used to, having a wine sample with a screw cap anyway, that a cork is almost a nuisance to me as a winemaker.
But as a winemaker, you've been graduate from UC Davis. You know science very well. Explain our friends why screw cap eventually is better than a traditional cork and why technically this thing stops the evolution of a wine and makes it perfect.
And I think what happens with the screw cap is that the small little material on the top seats really well onto the top of the glass. And when it seats that well, it just creates this seal that is so impermeable to oxygen. And especially with whites, there are screw caps on the market that allow a teeny bit of oxygen in. But so far, we've been a fan of just the more sort of locked down screw cap.
I'm with you.
And just because we feel like you can't really predict what these other screw caps will do, we know what this will do and we know it works.
That's right.
And it's so predictable. And I'm sort of a fruit lover. So if it's, kind of tired and maybe the cork didn't seal so great and the wine's already showing premature age, then that bugs me. I feel like, especially if I went out and spent good money on it, that's disappointing.
Very disappointing and frustrating.
Yes.
It's not what you expect. So, as a side note, I was looking for my sister's birthday in Bergen in the cellar years ago. It was pre-2000 with our winemaker, Gregory Patria. And we find some 67, 69 screw cap Burgundy, Premier Cru, Grand Cru. We were floored. We said, are you serious?
I didn't know that it could even happen.
It did, because Switzerland was one of the first one post Second World War in the late 40s. They tested it, 50s, 60s. Burgundy did. So we have a whole array of samples of great red, specifically Savigny-les-Beaunes, Pommard, Clos Vougeot, etc. We tasted the wines that night. We drank a lot of it. And we were amazed that the evolution of the fruit was still pristine and fresh and crisp and flamboyant. We decided the next day, we did all our Grand Cru, Premier Cru in screw cap with the Stelvin. Became an enormous success. People were so thirsty for innovation and for something which would guarantee the fact that a wine is not oxidized, cork taint, or whatever can happen.
And I love the guts to just do that. And maybe I'm sure there were some traditional Frenchmen that might have said, oh, blasphemy, how could you do this? You must be just, I don't know about you.
Hey, I would wear my mask. This is what I would do.
That's it. Yeah, and then when they'd hear the snap, crackle, pop at the restaurant, but when I hear that, I'm like, I know that is not going to be corked. And I know that if I paid $80 for that, it's probably going to be good.
And that's what happened. We got so blamed for it at first, and it was so crazy. And then suddenly the Chablis region, in Chablis, obviously it makes a ton of sense. And then the Alsace region, and then the south of France, and everybody embarked in screw cap. And then it became history that we should do it. But, when you're an innovator, I don't know why, you always have to live a challenge, specifically in an industry like ours, which is so
very old-fashioned. Yes.
Talking about that, Italian Greeks creating this valley in 1880. Tell us about it.
Well,
that's pretty amazing.
I liken Mendocino County's old Italian farmers to very similar to the Healdsburg and Dry Creek Italians.
Yeah.
There was this group of Italians that all inhabited that Mendocino County, northern Sonoma County. I look at all these names that ends with an I or an O, and they've, been farming either Zinfandel or, Primitivo since, 1882. And I just feel like that was an area that the climate was similar.
Yes.
I think that the winemaking and just, those guys are the pioneers. Charlie Barra was a pioneer.
That's right.
He was something special.
So how today have you welcomed such a diverse culture of growing things in Mendocino? And dear friends, for some of you in Japan or in Europe or wherever in the world you are, it's Ukiah. It's the capital of...
We are the Emerald Triangle area. It's very much the cannabis capital of almost the world.
Yeah, the wine is turning green a little bit, isn't it?
Man, I
see.
I sure hope
green
not.
reflex.
Right. Our eyes are pretty white, so I think we're doing okay so far. Yeah.
So how did that happen and why?
I think, again, it's a climate thing.
Yeah.
Cannabis just absolutely loves a similar climate to wine, grapes, and to hops. And you think the relationship between hops and cannabis, and then you think about wine grapes, those cool nights, there's not a lot of mildew pressure. So, you don't get the powdery mildew. It's the absolute quintessential perfect climate for those gigantic
Last
buds.
time I was in your region, which is, a few hours away from Napa, right?
Yeah, it's
Or so.
2 hours.
Yeah, so it's not that far.
Hour and a half.
When you come to California, and you must come to Mendocino, it's fabulous, it's gorgeous, it's natural, it's all what the old America is about.
Yeah, it's very much a small town feel.
But you smell.
And once you hit Mendocino County, there's billboards. You're like, whoa, what is that? You'll see this giant cannabis bud, and you're thinking, how's that possible?
Yeah.
And then you might see 5 or 6 more of them. And then you'll pass some dispensaries, and then you're like, wow, okay, we're here.
Do you think it will eventually make its way into wine?
I think it has a little bit, but it's not gained traction.
I see.
It's just the character is so aggressive that I feel like it is it's better left to other means of, ingestion. I just don't know if it's a great fit for wine, but I guess I'm somewhat traditional.
Well, it's a huge question, right? You talk to my young nephews, and cannabis is part of what they think is the future. And they always challenge me, and nephews, I know you're watching, they say, Jean-Charles, you drink spirits, you drink wine. We don't drink as much as you do, but we smoke occasionally I
think it's how do we coexist?
That's it.
How do we coexist, and how do we not lose, our market share and our, viability and vitality to that industry, I know that there are symposiums with the combo where it's discussed. And I feel like we need to obviously be great stewards of our own products, but also be, not necessarily, we have to have a way to coexist without fighting. That's right.
Well, America, I think, is a great place for that, right? There's a dialogue.
Yep, there is. And I think, that if we absolutely completely try to shut it out, I'm not sure that will ever win. I think it's here to stay.
For sure.
It's just how we work with it.
Yeah. As I go back on this Pinot Blanc, wow.
I'm glad you like it.
Yeah.
It seems to be very popular. People just love that light, delicate. I think there's a place for big Burgundian Chardonnays. There's a group that like them, but this is, I think, a great starter white.
Yeah.
I think it's it's something that is can go with almost anything.
What would you pair it with, in fact, as I'm going to serve you with
the Pinot Blanc? What would I pair it with? I tend to find I love doing these barbecued prawns.
Yeah.
And I love that with I'll make this sauce that uses a little bit of heavy cream, a little butter, and I'll put a little bit of Portuguese flair with some red pepper sauce in it.
Is in heaven.
Yep, and some garlic.
She's a lucky girl.
And then, I've learned a lot from her too. And her mom especially.
Yeah. Well, the Portuguese are the best.
Oh, they're wonderful people.
I'm fanatic of the Portuguese culture, and we've been very fortunate. The French and the Portuguese have been so close, and we've welcomed so much Portuguese. And for that matter, many of the French people live in Portugal.
They do. Yeah. When we visited her island, where she grew up, just
the Azores.
Yeah, in the Azores in São Miguel.
Yeah.
It's about 1,000 miles off the coast of Portugal. And, there are lots of French people that have either second homes because it feels like a little bit of tropical, vacation destination. And the Germans love it too.
I'm sure.
Yeah. Well, so the Germans and the French.
You feel right at home.
Yeah, it's fun. It's such a blast. It's so different.
So now we're going to try Charlie's blend. So tell us a little bit, because dear friends, we don't talk enough about wine on our JCB Live. We do a little bit, but we use wine as a conduit, as discussion. Here we have a great legacy, Charlie's blend. Maybe on this wine, it's a great idea. Maybe you explain a little bit the legacy of Charlie and what he's created, and then we'll move on to other topics.
Sure. Well, Charlie has been farming up in Mendocino County since I think they bought the home ranch in 1955. Mm-hmm. And Charlie, I don't think Charlie even graduated from high school because he was already working in the vineyards and was making more money than a lot of people that had graduated in college degrees. He was just a hardworking farmer. Yeah. So,
so we can make money in farming, dear friends. It's possible.
Yes. And one of the neat, I think, legacies of Charlie that I always tell my friends is that Charlie was the inventor of overhead sprinkler frost protection in California.
Great.
Which we all think of just absolutely standard procedure.
Yeah.
But he was the one that came up with, and I think he got it from another business or another agricultural crop. And then he had the notion to put those overhead sprinklers up because Mendocino has a little bit of altitude and it frosts fairly often.
When you say altitude, how high do we go?
It's about 600 to 800 feet up.
And what's the lowest point on the ocean?
Zero, of course.
It zero?
It's zero. Yeah. So, you're 600 feet up. You can definitely be a couple degrees cooler.
Yeah, but do we have vineyards at zero? What the lowest in vineyard planting? Isn't it 120 or something?
I don't. Because that's a good question. I feel like zero is correct that there is none at zero.
Yeah. No, I say that because there's only 1 or 2 vineyards in the planet at zero and they do well. And one of them is in Greece, where you come from originally. I think it's one of the Somos island. And I'm
Mediterranean climate.
Totally. I may be totally wrong, but a friend of mine owns it. And it was, made by the monks all that time. And it's an amazing wine. So Greek descent, right at zero. But to be verified.
Sure. So,
maybe we should edit that part.
So Charlie is, he was really kind of a pioneer. And there was actually a label for a while there that had a Pioneer brand on it. And it was a tribute to Charlie. So he was old school. He was old fashioned. I call him a MacGyver. He knew how to fix anything with whatever he could. I mean, that guy could use, some vineyard wire to fix any tractor. He was very, very somewhat frugal, but also to the point where he was very inventive too. And with organic farming, he just wasn't a fan of all the herbicides and pesticides. His joke is that, before he passed away a couple of years ago, was that, he's been farming organically for 50 years. He just didn't know for the first 30.
I love it. That's a great. Why do we even farm today traditionally when tradition should be organic? And those weird people accepting to do synthetic.
And Mendocino County
pesticides
is perfect for organic.
I agree.
It really is.
I mean, you're born in Santa Rosa.
Fog. I'm born in Santa Rosa. It can be a little foggy. It can be a little tough.
But we do it at Deloach magnificently. At JCB, Deloach, and Buena Vista.
There's tricks now. Opening it up, canopy management.
That's right.
And I think I'm all in on this organic thing. At first because I'd made so many, what I'll call non-organic or traditional for many, many years. I was like, oh gosh, what's this?
And you're a scientist too. So as a scientist, they're always the most difficult to convince.
We are. And I was a bit skeptical, but learning and knowing what I know now, it also really accentuates the art and creativity and prevention. So you can fix almost anything you've broken with traditional winemaking that you cannot do with organic winemaking. You have to prevent and think ahead.
So tell us about, my mission in life since the age of 7 is prevention in farming. I did it with my grandmother on the orchard, vegetable farms, flowers, all of the above, from roses to anything else. And I've always talked about prevention, and I'm so delighted you bring that word up because that's what it's about. It's like Eastern medicine. You prevent and you take every day the plants you need or the complements you need, and you're very healthy and you never get anything that you may get otherwise. Can you elaborate on that for all of us?
Absolutely. I think that what happens with winemaking is when we think about prevention, we don't have to manipulate the wine as much also. Right. We're able to really watch after it. And that means we need to pay attention, right? I mean, I think I call winemaking this art and science, but also detail.
That's right.
If you can mix those three together, your outcome will be good. And I feel like that prevention, and also prevention is also by learning from your mistakes. So, that's important for me too, is I made a few mistakes early on with traditional winemaking that I'm like, oh my gosh, I can't fix this. I'm not going to beat this wine up and ruin it so I can make it bottleable. So it's like wham, that kind of slap to the face that says, all right, I need to prevent this. I can't treat it. I can't just, go. Basically, I'm not a doctor who's going to fix you when you're sick. I need to be one of those guys that keeps you healthy.
That's the key. So thank you so much for enlightening us on that. I'm the kind of guy that keeps you healthy. That's the key. And I think in your vineyards, you're doing it. So what should people do when they shop for wine? Should they look at the back label for this certification?
I think it's helpful. I mean, I think that in California, the CCOF, that's our, organic certification, that's our credibility.
That's right.
And that's and we have to prove our honesty.
I agree. I love when they come. We are CCOF as well with our properties, and I love it.
Yeah.
They come and
it keeps you honest, and it also gives that credibility. Because I think there is a bit of an argument amongst us colleagues about sustainability versus organic.
Yeah.
And the sustainability thing, however successful it may be, and however that might work for everyone, for us, I feel like it's not as enforceable.
That's
like
right.
It doesn't have the arm of watching over to the point where you can really feel confident as a buyer that, wow, okay, if that's CCOF and they get audited every year, their likelihood of them cheating is extremely low.
That's right.
So I'm going to have some confidence in that. Whereas sustainable might be, hey, I'm sustainable because I dropped my use of pesticide 1 pound per ever. Okay, does that make me sustainable? Maybe in someone's eyes, but is that regulated? See, you need a regulation. We have to be kept honest.
That's it. Thank you for saying it.
And I'm not a fan of big regulations, but in this case,
we need
it.
Important. We need to be
the customer
serious.
has to be confident.
When I see and hear our friends and many of ours, common friends, say we're sustainable, I say, what do you mean? What do you mean? I don't understand what you mean. What does that mean?
Does that just mean you use less of something?
That's it. I don't know. So whereas here you audited, and I think, dear friends, what is important on the back label, you see that CCOF. If you believe what we're saying today, it's very critical you look at the back label. And big question for you. As a winemaker, UC Davis graduate, phenomenal scientist, who in the old days, you ask the question I'm going to ask, the winemaker will be the scientist. He's never seen the vineyards. You're in both. And, you basically give the expression of the vineyards into the glass, as I could taste. Tell us about why organic grapes are making you even a better winemaker. Well, if you believe that.
Well, I do,
because obviously I could taste it.
I do, but I will not. I must say that it does not come without challenges. There are challenges because growing organically is difficult. When you're out there, you might have to understand that the vineyard's not going to be as pretty.
Yeah.
And honestly, that's one of my triggers when I'm out looking around and out driving around. If I see a vineyard that might have, wow, I see a bunch of weeds there, and I might even see a weed kind of growing up even as high as the canopy, that could be an organic vineyard because someone hasn't hit that with Roundup.
Because we want competition too.
Yes, and oftentimes too, that competition, as well as even, that growing of organic matter that can be tilled in and create some nitrogen. We're not just stuffing some nitrogen through the drip system. We're actually creating it through other cover crops and other integrated infusions of organic matter that will help give us healthy grape.
So just illustrate why nitrogen is important.
Well, it is basically the fuel for the grapevine. That's, the electricity for the hybrid or Tesla, or it's gas for the car. Yep. That nitrogen is going to help fuel that canopy, which is going to make photosynthesis, which is going to get your grapes right.
Reminds you your high school natural science classes, right?
And it's winemakers are kind of science geeks. Yeah. We try to hide it, but
why we wanted Randy with us today is not only the fact that they're in a great region, Mendocino, we never talk enough about. 2, that he's a scientist, and the one I really respect that really takes into account Mother Nature and take organic into phenomenal wines. And he uses his organic commitment to make fantastic wine like this. And it's too easy in the world we live in, where I see people telling, organic is expensive, or it's painful, or it's more attention to details. That's what luxury is about.
Right.
And if we are partner with Mother Nature, we should respect her.
I have this is a saying I use often when it comes to organic winemaking you might get a kick out of. I feel like the difference between traditional winemaking and organic winemaking is with traditional winemaking, I've got this totally loaded, gorgeous Snap-on Tools truck parked in front of my winery.
Yes.
With organic winemaking, I got the tool belt and that's it.
To the tool belt.
To the tool belt. You know, I've got these special tools that I use, and everything else doesn't apply.
Yeah.
Or I can't use it.
So, dear friends, all of you out there, and I know many of you are not in the wine world, make sure you push your wine steward, your wine advisor, your wine ambassador, your wine lover to advise you to bring organic wines to the table. And think about the respect of Mother Nature, the catastrophe we live in. From global warming to climate change to fires to typhoon to, you know, us melting.
And I feel like our younger generation are grabbing onto this more so than us baby boomers, for instance. For sure. I feel like, you know, like my kids, they're 25 and 23, and they're much more cognizant of, you know, organic and healthy and just, you know, more natural. It just seems like we've done something right with these kids. Sometimes we want to get them off their phones. Yes. But, you know, for the most part, you know, the fact that they embrace that is good for us. It's good for the future. And it's hopefully good for more people that want to, you know, grab into this embark into this side of the business and this organic winemaking. And
in addition, Randy, I love it because they hold us accountable. You know, I was in France last month. And it's funny because a whole variety of different kids are friends of mine. There's 4 bins in the house. The compostable bins for your vegetables and eggshells and all that.
Everything out of the kitchen like that.
That's it. And then there's the other 3 that we know here, from glass to this to that. And I think a friend of mine just put the thing in the wrong place and the kid said, yeah. And I love it. You know, I think it's so important that we move into this era. So
we never thought like that. I mean, at least I wasn't raised to be like that. Now, absolutely.
And you come from Santa Rosa, Sonoma, that is really forward thinking into the environment commitment.
Yes.
Yeah. So tell us about this. This is a great blend.
So it is fun. This has really grabbed a hold, and this was a tribute to Charlie because we didn't have anything called Charlie's Blend until he passed away. But what we did here was take what we feel like are our best of the best and not add a lot of oak.
Yeah.
But this wine here is, I love making red blends because you really can use some art.
Yeah.
You know, because with varietals, we are somewhat, you know, we're somewhat caged in on what we can do. Yeah. Shackled is a better word.
I'd rather be shackled.
Shackled is probably a better word. But yeah, so with
your wife will be the judge.
You know, we were able to really have fun with, you know, we had this incredible Merlot, one of the best ones I've ever made. Yeah. For some reason in 2019, the Merlot was just amazing. It was huge. It was beautiful, but it wasn't overly tannic. Mm-hmm. So that ends up being, I think, around 38%. And then we have some Cabernet in there. It's Bordeaux dominant, but what it has is Zin and Petite as a complexity.
You've built, there's Zinfandel here.
There's Zin in there.
Wow.
Yeah, there's about 16% Zin and 16% Petite. So it gives it that purpley kind of a character, a little more briary, a little berry. It's a little less of what I'll call currant, you know, from Bordeaux. Mm-hmm. It's a little more like blackberry from the Zin.
Phenomenal. And you unleash more as you discover the wine. Congratulations. This is great. And explain to our friends why you like to make a blend. Why is it more fun than just...
Well, I say it this way. So Merlot gives you this sort of what I'll call body and finesse.
Yeah.
Cabernet gives you backbone.
Yeah.
And structure. Zinfandel gives you fruit. Just like a fresh blackberry. And Petite Syrah gives you guts and ageability and depth. So when you play with those 4 varieties in various combinations, every vintage is different. This year, it will be much less Merlot in 2020.
I see.
It's going to be a little more cab-centric and have probably a little bit more Zin and Petite. So it'll be slightly different in order to retain what we feel is that sort of that symbiotic relationship of all those four that I just described in order to not have one dominate more than the other. Like you shouldn't open that and go, it smells like Cabernet.
Yeah.
I think I screwed up if that's what it smells like.
And it didn't. And I think this is a perfect osmosis, the synergy, the alchemist's work. You know, a winemaker is an alchemist. Combines the energy that you just heard to... This
is a wine geek's love. You know, a lot of people were somewhat down on red blends because I think the general feel was, oh, that's just everybody's leftovers. They just stuff it together and charge double.
That's what they...
When in reality, that's not true. And when you look at, first growth, Bordeaux's, those are not just Cabernet.
That's right. Never.
The best ones are blends.
And the Cabernet level is very low.
Yeah, I would call that like an American blend in a way.
I love it. So now let's go as our final wine to the gashing. Well, you can finish.
Yeah, I'll finish this.
I know you can. So, I mean, I would love to ask you this question that if you can answer it as honestly as you can.
I'll sure try.
I know your wife is with us. She's in the chat. I could see her. What inspires you in life? Besides her, of course. Because you've been married, you said, for?
31 years.
Oof. And you've been a winemaker for 38. So, she's known you forever as a creator.
I think what inspires me, honestly, is family, the love of family.
Yeah.
I think the love of creativity.
Yeah.
The love of, doing things that I feel are not necessarily to be done by me, but I can still do them, and learning and that achievement without, necessarily having some training. Like I'm one of those guys that I will tackle a project that I probably should pay someone else to do it. And my wife will probably be watching this saying, yes, you should not do that anymore because things might take a little longer.
Yeah.
But, I might tile my own, patio, but I want to learn how to, I've never stopped learning.
Yeah.
How about that for just a very simple line?
Well,
never stop learning and be open to change and be open to growth and realize that you don't know it all. In winemaking, we tend to like to think we know it all. There's a little bit of an ego problem sometimes with the winemaking crowd. Too much. It's not good. We need to be humble. We need to realize that we're only as good as today.
Yeah.
And we have to realize that if we can't share what we know also, what good is it? Because we can't take it with us. So I like to share with younger winemakers, and I love doing that too.
I'm going to toast to one thing you've said. Listen to that sound. Bring it to your ears here. See the crystal?
This thing weighs about 20 pounds, people.
Hey, when inspire our friend, never stop learning. And I love that because it's learning. It's what it's all about. And thank you for reminding us of that, because I believe, for me, I need to tell you, when I summarize the day in my head in the evening, if I haven't learned something or done something I haven't done before or experienced something new, I'm disappointed in myself. I must tell you, every day of my life, I want them to be different. If it's the same old thing, why living it? I've lived it already the day before.
Well, learning a little bit about you, I can definitely see you believe that wholeheartedly.
Thank you.
And it is a sight to behold.
Well, you said it. So thank you. So tell us about this.
Wow. Okay.
Dear friends, this is the land of Petite Syrah, right?
So I was joking with the crew today that this Petite Syrah should probably come with a Crest white strip neck hanger because it will stain your teeth purple. And this is one of the most bold Petite Syrahs I've ever made in my career. I've made Petite Syrah a few times, but this vineyard, this is called the Kalina Vineyard, which is about 800 feet. So it's on the eastern hillside that faces west from Lake Mendocino.
So it has the sunset.
Yes. Light. And it's on a hill, and it has some stress.
Is it pruned like a gobelet style, or is it trellis?
It actually, it's trellised, but it has a little bit of a sprawly approach. It's not super pretty. We can't machine it. It's all handpicked. And it is it's so inky and so just burly. It's just red wine on steroids. It really is. And this is not for everyone.
This
it's
is
certainly
insane.
for people that want to go for, an absolute, in your face, chewy.
Yeah, but with delicacy as
Right,
well.
sure.
I mean, the aroma.
Because it gets a lot of oak aging. We have
And
to
your
age this a
alcohol-
long time.
And your alcohol level is very well managed. You're
Yep.
at 14.5.
Yes.
You could have been at 17.
It's hard to get Petite Syrah
Yeah.
that ripe up there. It's one of the later ones we pick, and it is just we have another Petite Syrah block that is much lighter than this. This is the the full on petite.
You're a magician. I got to tell you, dear friends, we make Petite Syrah blended with Cabernet, blended with Merlot, blended with Syrah, blended with the Rhone varieties, Mourvèdre, Carignan, and Cinsault as well, and Grenache. But this is incredible. We don't do anything like this. If you're interested, get this wine. Oakville Wine Merchant or directly with our friend Randy.
At barofmendocino.com. You can definitely come on and buy some. This is very popular with it. Has a bit of a cult following. I think we only do maybe 350 to 400 cases.
Wow.
Very little. Because this is the absolute best of the best of what we have. Yeah. So, it is small production, and we can probably afford to make a little bit more.
Yeah.
But it is definitely that vineyard is what's going to make this Petite Syrah.
And how is it going to age?
Oh my goodness. We had actually a 1998 and 99 just recently.
Yes.
That we kind of pulled out of an old cellar at the ranch that was temperature controlled. Beautiful. Just soft, still inky, but just a little bit different hue. Not so much purple, but more like black. It's an interesting color. What happens when Petite Syrah changes in color, it still has that, you can't see through it, intensity, but it's a fun wine. It's really kind of we're known a lot for this wine, although I think, some of our other wines are, maybe a little more balanced. This is the sledgehammer of red wines.
Yeah, but
really fun.
You've done it in a very delicate way as well. You've been very respectful of the grape and accompany it with great practices.
Getting flooded with sugar.
No, I love it. I'm very impressed.
I'm glad you like it because some people kind of taste it and go, oh, whoa.
What kind of food do you have with that?
This is ribeye, not filet.
Yeah,
it's definitely ribeye. You need some fat.
Yeah.
Yeah, because this one needs, the fillets are wonderful, don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I would definitely love an absolutely hot, pan-seared ribeye.
We hungry.
With some black pepper and some good old kosher salt on the top.
We going for dinner?
Yeah, this one, whoa, it's powerful.
So your wife is watching. What's your dream? Having another wife?
Well,
having two wives.
It's interesting because
no, it's not true.
Because my I think my dream is somewhat simple, and obviously it's to be with her for the rest of our lives, or living, as long as we can go. And I think the one thing that we really would like to do is get a travel trailer, and actually cruise all over America.
I love it,
and just see all the states. There's a lot of America I have not seen.
For sure.
And just literally take like a year.
Yeah.
And just go across in a trailer.
And you may need two.
And might need two. And just literally roll with my wife in retirement and see all the things in America that I like to see. And I would like to go back to mainland Portugal too.
Yeah.
That would be a dream too, because my wife's never been there as well. I've been there. Yeah. She has not.
And for you, who obviously is a very talented and world-awarded winemaker, you will see a lot of great friends because they make wine all over the place.
And that is fun. And visit, go to France and visit some places that I've never been to.
Well, you call me. We'll set you up.
Will you answer?
Always.
All right.
Look at where we are.
For sure. That's important.
I love you.
My goals are simple.
Yeah.
To obviously enjoy my children, in their adult lives. And still be part of their lives. And
are they in wine?
They are not. Interestingly enough, they are more into education,
science,
and no, they didn't get the science gene, which I'm not gonna lie, I was a little disappointed. Yes,
Did you do the DNA test?
I hope they are. But yeah, my oldest is in grad school at Chico State to be a school psychologist. So she wants to work with like high school age kids.
That's great.
So, she's great at that. And my youngest is the absolute award winner with young kids. So she would be the most perfect kindergarten teacher.
Is your wife in education?
No, she's not. She's in accounting.
Really?
Yes.
So they must have.
But my wife is wonderful with kids, because my wife's one of 13 kids.
13.
We have over 70 nieces and nephews.
Kidding.
And my dad is a retired pediatrician, and that's how I met my wife, is through all the nieces and nephews. Yes.
We should have started the interview with the 13 kids.
Yeah. They used to barter seafood for medical services because they all worked at the local fish factory in Santa Rosa before it went out of business.
Wow.
So that's how we met.
13 kids. That means her mother was in labor for 26 years.
It's unbelievable. She lived to be 84. She was incredible.
That's amazing.
She was a major.
Yeah. So that made you who you are in many ways. Well, I want to have an amazing toast and have you, Randy, if you don't mind, look at all our friends around the world and give them a big message. The message you want to give. You've been very wise in a lot of great advice you have, but I'm having a taste of it.
Well, I would look to you all and say, please make the best of your life every day. Enjoy your family. Never forget them. And just truly enjoy with wine every day and make it the best you can. And remember, we never know what tomorrow brings. The world has been crazy lately. Love each other and make the best of it.
Love it. Randy, thank you. And I really want to thank you
so much
for you as a scientist, embracing organic farming, embracing your beautiful wine.
It's been a journey.
Well, your children, this great family winery, this amazing wine region that is yet to be discovered, dear friends, even more than Napa Valley or Sonoma. Mendocino, think about it. Think about innovation. Think about creativity. Randy sent us a lot of great message tonight. And it was a great learning session to be together.
And I know that our owner, Martha Barra, is just thrilled that you allowed us to come in and talk today.
Well, absolutely. And Martha, kiss, love. Cannot wait to see you maybe in Mendocino.
She really has. She has a lot to do with this.
Well,
she's something else.
Congratulations to family, legacy, and America.